Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today, something that we've done previously with DLCs, we're looking at the Pagani DLC cars that have arrived in the game a little while ago. Now, it's taken a while to get to this point because we have to find all of these on the customer jobs. To get all three to turn up is very difficult, but we did do it. So we're going to start with this. This is the 2013 Pagani Zonda Revolution. This has a V12 M120 engine. It looks a beast. I can imagine driving one of these would be incredible, especially on the top speed track. We're not doing it though. Customer cars we're not adding to our list. We need to find one of these out in the wild for us to have a look at and rebuild ideally. I can imagine they cost a fortune. The car itself doesn't have many things wrong with it. Replace the filters. There's a loud noise coming from the exhaust, I would have guessed, and some body work. Now, we are going to do a quick examination, mainly for the XP, just because we can. So while we do this, if you're enjoying this series on the channel or any other content, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the episodes does really help. Now, as we come to the end of this, we will have a look at the parts we need to change. We'll also have a quick look at the engine as well, because this is a different type of engine than what we've seen previously. Now, we have to take off the rear clamshell to have a look at the engine, I believe. Will this come off? I'm trying to find this only way into it that I can think of. There we go. So that's the engine in there, and there it is. Look at that, an engine. It does look nice. I want to find one of these in the wild so we can do it. It's going to be a while, I think. Right, let's have a look at the filters. The air filter out. We've got the fuel filter out, and now where is the oil filter? Oh, there it is. Hang on, before we take that out, we do have to do it underneath the car anyway. I think we should drain the oil. It's an oil filter. It's going to have oil coming into it. I don't want to get the trophy for spilling oil on the floor on this car. I think that's what we need to do. I'm trying to work out, is that the best option? We definitely have to replace it. Yeah, let's take the oil out. I don't think there's a way around it. I don't want to risk the fine. Let's just take it out. And then, worst comes to worst, we're spending a couple of pounds putting the oil back in. We're saving ourselves a fine at least. And the trophy that I'm waiting till last for. Okay, get underneath again. Let's find... Oh, it is. There it is. Oil filter out. Oh, I think we found the issue with the exhaust. I think it's that one. The exhaust manifold. I think that's the loud noise. The car is loud is generally an exhaust issue, so I think the exhaust manifold may be the winner. But before we do that, let's actually replace the parts we can replace. So these are the three that we need to do. We just need to go and buy them from the shop. So the oil filter first, fuel filter, and then the air filter as well. There we go. Now hopefully at some point we'll find these cars to do them, but I'm not holding my breath. I think it's probably going to be a while. They're probably going to be auction cars or something like that, I would assume, but I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. We just come across what we come across when we do. Don't really plan ahead. We do have cars stored in the parking, to be fair, that I've gone out and brought when we've been to scrapyards and barns and stuff, and we'll work our way through them, and we keep adding to them all the time as well, to be fair. Okay, I was thinking there must be a top to this air filter, but I don't think there is. I think it doesn't have a lid. Right, we need to put oil. Okay. So this engine is similar to previous engines we've done, where you can't actually access the oil fill-up point. You actually have to take parts of the engine off to do so. I see that as a very poor design. Maybe it's not. Maybe that is just a standard thing with some of these supercars and hypercars. But for me, you should always be able to put oil in when you need to put oil in. Not have to take apart some of the engine to do so. But there we go. We found it in the end. We got past it. Now we'll quickly stick the bits back on the engine. It's meant to be a quick job. This one is actually one of the quicker jobs we have to do out of the three cars. Okay, air filter back on. There we go. And then we get the fuel rail, and I think that's everything. Right, can we access the manifold? I've got a feeling this is the one we need to take off. If we take off the other one that overlaps it, then we should be able to take the other one off, and that should be the part we need to replace, I think. Yeah, that's definitely no good. So that's the one we need to replace. So we just buy it from the shop. There we go. And then that should be all the parts replaced in bodywork afterwards, and that's all we have to do with this car. It's not going to be a massive profit, I wouldn't have thought, but it's a nice quick look at it at least. There we go, all back on. Now, bodywork time. What do we need to replace? That's the question. So everything is done. Car is loud is done. Front clamshell, right door, left side mirror, rear bumper, rear clamshell, right side mirror, windshield. Okay, it's got a little bit going for it. So rear bumper. I think that was on the list. I'm trying to remember offhand. Front clamshell. What else was it? Right door window, left side mirror, right side mirror, windshield. Now door mirrors. They've already come off, I think. They've come off when we've done the clamshell, haven't they? I think that's where they've gone. So I think it's just right window. I think that's everything. So let's go and actually fix these. We don't normally show bodywork fixing, but because this car there's not much to do on it, we'll have a quick look. We should be able to fix everything bar the glass, as long as we don't ruin anything. Fingers crossed. The one time we actually do show bodywork, we actually ruin something we don't want to ruin. Nope, all good. So now it should just be a case of buying the 2 bits of glass we need and then putting it all back. Now, do we need to change the headlights? I don't think we do. I'm in two minds, but I don't think we do. So bodywork, go to the right one at least, that would help. And we need the right window. And then we need the windshield. There we go. That should be everything. So now we can put all the parts back. As I say, this one was one of the quickest cars we have to do of these 3. The middle one is the one that takes a bit of time. There's a bit more to it. We've got to try and make sure we put all the lights back in as well. They're quite small, these lights on the front, if you see. I've just knocked away the actual point of putting it all back. There we go. Back on. If you move too quickly or too far in the car, it can alter. So rear bumper back on. Rear clamshell back on. We've got license plate to go back on. We've got the tail lights, both of them left and right. There we go, they're on. I think we've got headlights on the front. There we go. Left headlight, right headlight, and then that should be it. Is there a number plate on the front? No, there isn't. No number plate on the front. I'm surprised by that. Okay, the car is finished. So we spent £2,340 fixing it. They're going to pay us £14,284. That is a profit of £11,944 just by changing some filters and some bodywork. That kind of tells you how much the car's going to be worth if you rebuild one, doesn't it? But that is the first car of the Pagani DLC done. Next, we're looking at the 2017 Pagani Aurora. Now, I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. Pronunciation is not my forte. This has a V12 M158 engine. This has a lot to do. And unfortunately, some of it's engine based, so we are going to have to take the engine out. It gives us a chance to look at it in depth, I suppose, but this is going to take some time, which is going to be frustrating. But we know what we need to do. We've fixed cars before. This isn't going to be anything different to what we've done. It's just going to be a little bit time consuming. So, what do we need to do first? Well, while we've got the car here, let's do an examination. Let's get the free XP that we can gain from it. It's worth doing, I think. It just gives us that extra XP we wouldn't have gained normally. So, let's go and examine the car. It won't take long, as I have sped it up. Plus, we've got them near, I think it's the maximum now, or nearly maximum for examination speed. Should be okay. We'll also do some tests on the engine, just because we're not entirely sure how much we're going to have to deal with this. I think it's coming out, but we'll know for sure after we do some tests. Now, I'm going to find a way towards the engine. It's not giving it because we're not in the engine bay just yet. So as the previous vehicle, we took off the rear clamshell and we could get into the engine bay. This one you can't. There's an actual engine bay window. We can still get past it slightly by going this way. So, I think it was an engine bay window. It might have been a rear window. Let's do some tests on the engine now we've got into there. It does look incredible. Right, I'm hoping pistons are good. That's the one where we have to take a lot of the engine apart to get to. See a few reds, a few oranges. That's not good, but these are all electronics. We may get away with this. Okay, spark plugs. That's not too bad. Yeah, spark plugs, coil pack as well. I don't think coil pack is something we've dealt with previously, but it could be just because this is one of those cars that has it. Right, this is the big one. Fingers crossed. No pistons or piston rings. Are we going to get away with it? Oh, there's something there. I think it's a piston. I think there is one on there. That's not good. Piston with conrod, 14%. Piston rings, piston with conrod. So 2 pistons and 1 set of piston rings need replacing. That's the engine out. There's no way around it now. We're not going to be able to try and get around this. Engine is having to come out. We're just going to finish off the examinations with the different tests. Just to, it's extra XP, but also we find out if there's anything else we could likely miss. So I think it's definitely worth doing. Now you can see why this car is going to take the longest amount of time and why the length of the video is what it is. I was hoping to be a lot less. 3 cars. It should be a lot less, but there was a lot of work to do on this one. This is the kind of car you get to and you think, oh, I wish I'd picked something simpler. But this was the first Pagani Aurora we found out of all of them. We spent hours trying to get these 3 cars in the garage at the same time. And there was still one to come after this car. So it does take a long time just to try and get them to turn up. It's completely random as well. Okay, last tests. There we go. The fuel filter needs changing as well. Just add it to the list. And there is a big list, to be fair, of parts that need sorting out. There's a few things not discovered. I'm sure we'll come across them once we start. Transmission not responsive. Missed that one. Okay. I think we need to start by taking the oil out because we've got to move the engine. We don't want to risk the oil going everywhere, so we will take the oil out first. And I've not pressed the button twice, have I? No. I do this occasionally. If a car has its wheels and it's on the floor, you need to press the button to go up twice. There are times I forget, and then I have to go back. Similar to what just happened there. And I'm too quick on the buttons, as you can see. There we go. We'll get there eventually. Now, I like the fact that everything in the garage responds to the type of car. So this knows it has to go further back, whereas normally it would be at the front of the car. This is a rear engine car. And the actual garage responds to that by changing where things go and where they position themselves. And I like that. So we're going to have to take the gearbox off. So to do that, we've got to take the wheels off the rear. And there we go. That should enable us to take the gearbox out on this side. Do the other side as well now. Always one bolt, isn't that? Doesn't want to come out. So drive shaft can now come out. And engine, the gearbox, we just need to find the starter motor. Hidden away just inside there. And then gearbox can now come away. I think we've got an exhaust to deal with as well. Looks like engine bay though, strangely. Just double checking in case there's anything else another way around it. But I think it's engine bay. We can get the engine crane across. I didn't take the gearbox off, did I? I think that could have been an error. I should have done it while the car was up, to be fair. Right. Whilst I think about it, liquids. I took the front clamps off. It doesn't matter. Right, we know the radiator needs replacing. Looking at that, that's an easy one to tell them. Always happens. We didn't drain the radiator. I didn't think about draining it. I just moved it, and I should have thought about it. The radiator had water in it, so we've just been fined £50 for the water leak. I didn't think about it at the time. I should have done. I don't know why I didn't think. Okay, we're going to try and take off some of these exhausts to get it up, to get it out. We've just realised we've messed up with the gearbox. Let's go and take that out. It should have been done while we had the car in the air anyway. Mistake by me. I should have done it. It made sense while I was there underneath the car. Save going back up and down, but we didn't know. Okay, can we take it out now? Is there anything else in our way? Okay, engine is out. So as we do with the building cars, the rebuilds, we are going to speed up taking this engine apart. There's a lot to it. There's a lot going on. So we're going to speed it up, and then we'll come back to you once we've managed to take what we need apart and get to the pistons. Okay, we're just about there now. A few more pistons to come out, and then we are good to go. So we're going to go off and fix everything, replace things that we need to replace, buy them if we need to. I don't think we're going to have much in the warehouse. And now we've done that, we can put the engine back together. Again, we're going to speed this up like as if we was rebuilding the car anyway. This saves a little bit of time. So that is the engine new enough put back together. Just double checking there's nothing else left. Just the gearbox side then by the looks of it. Clutch release bearing. And I think we're done. It is a spectacular engine when you look at it. There's a lot more complicated parts to it though as well. More parts to learn and remember where they go. I know it does help you putting stuff back together, but even with the help you kind of sometimes just think, right, where does it go? You want to kind of just judge it for yourself sometimes. Okay, so we are going to put the engine back in the car. That is in. So we just need to replace the radiator still, but the engine side of stuff is done. Timing is done. Gearbox needs to go in. Gearbox, other tasks, and bodywork. That's not too bad. We are going to do a little speed up as we replace the wheels and stuff, just to put them back on. I am thinking of the time and the length of the video, so just speeding up, putting the wheels back on, gearbox back on, the drive shafts as well. There we go, and they are all back on. The car is ready for the last final parts we need to deal with. As I said before, it is an amazing engine. It looks incredible. It's quite a nice one to work on. It took a bit longer than normal. A general V8 engine will take about 6 minutes to take apart. You don't see the full 6 because we speeded up. But yeah, about 6 minutes to do a full engine take apart, and then about 6 minutes to put back together. And once again, as with the previous Pagani, we have to take parts off to get to the oil to make our lives a little bit harder. There we go. Oil can now go back in. But yes, they all have to come. The bits have to come off first that are blocking it. So just slow you down a little bit. But yeah, so a normal car would take about 6 minutes to take apart and rebuild. I think this took about 7 or 8. A little bit more. There's just a bit more going for it. There's a bit more to do, but it's nothing major. Okay, the intercoolers can go back on. Well, the intercooler covers anyway. The intercooler's already on. Now, we need to replace the radiator. We know this. There we go. I'll buy a brand new one. Couldn't fix the previous, too far gone. Radiator fans housing is back on with the fans inside. Now, let's refill liquids and see where we're at. There's not a massive amount more. I know the liquids were the other jobs, and I think it is just bodywork. We are nearly done. You can see why this car took a while though. But yeah, like the previous, I'm looking forward to finding one of these in the wild. Looking forward to rebuilding it, putting it for its paces on the top speed track and the race track. Be interesting to see where they come on our leaderboards. Okay, job wise, refill power steering. Now, if you've got really good eyesight, you may have noticed we haven't seen it. It's not in the rear of the front of the car, rear front, and I couldn't see it around the engine. But then I found it in a little corner, tucked away. This is your power steering reservoir. It is not with the other reservoirs, just to note. If you do this car, it is nowhere near the others. And it blends in, because it's black outer shell, it blends in with the rest of the car. Can be a little bit annoying. Right, bodywork is the only thing left. So what we'll do, we'll go off and do most of it. And we'll come back just as we finish doing it. Again, this is just because the length of the video is getting a bit out of hand. So we're just putting the last final bits of bodywork back on. Got the wing mirror to do, or side mirror, and the headlights. No, I forgot to do headlights, as you can tell. I noticed it just now, but we definitely didn't do it right at the time. But they weren't on the list. So we'll talk through numbers anyway, and then we'll come back to that. So we spent £5,200 fixing this car. They're going to pay us £27,672. It's a profit of £22,472. And before we can send the car back to the customer, it's telling us we've missed the headlights. There we go. But yeah, so a decent profit, £22,000 profit, just short of 22.5. Not bad. Okay, final car for today. This is the 2017 Pagani Aurora Tempesta. This has the same engine as the Pagani Aurora. It's a V12 M158 engine. The list of jobs isn't bad. It's brake performance and bodywork. Simple, easy, no whole engine taken out and putting back together at least. Now, we'll just have a proper look inside. So you can see everything on the front of the car and the rear. This is different because the actual rear of the car opens up. I like that. That's quite cool. The engine exactly the same as the previous car. It's a nice looking one. And from doing this, I've actually found an issue. There's one of our brake components that needs changing. It is the ABS pump. So that saves us a little bit of a job of trying to find it. So we just need to buy a new one. That one can't be fixed. It's too low quality. There's no way we can fix that. Yeah, it's red. Got no chance. So we just need to buy one. This car was the hardest one out of the three to find as part of a customer job. This took me a lot of time to find this one and wait for this one to turn up. And I couldn't do much more because everything would be out of sync. So, yeah, I had to stand around for ages, hours, looking at the cars on the job sheet, getting rid of the ones I don't want to do, waiting for this car to arrive, and it finally did. So, brakes, that's all we need to do on this, and then bodywork. Twice up to get the right height. Let's have a look behind the wheels. Can we spot anything? Save ourselves the job of taking things off. There is 3 parts to find, so we'll keep count and hopefully we'll find them all. So we'll start with the rear left. Have a look at it. Now I think the brake disc is gone. If you can just see through the wheel, there it is. Brake disc is no good. Hopefully it's good enough to we can use it on the lathe and put it back together. I think it might be actually. Yes, I think that we'll have to come back to that one because we can use the lathe in the warehouse and the workshop. Get it done. So front left now. I think looking through the wheel, the brake pads have gone, which will be number 2 of 3. Yes, they have. The brake pads are no good. Let's get them replaced. If I knew what the final one was, we could buy it now, but we can't because we don't know. Okay, back to the normal shop. Brake pads. I was going to second guess it and buy more than one, just to hope that was the problem with the other, well, one of the other 2 wheels. It's a choice of 2. But the wheel can go back on the front left because that is everything done there. Now, before I put this on, I did have a thought. Is that everything here? Do we need to check anything else? I'm going to leave it off for a minute, just to be sure. Because if we check the other wheels and we can't find a problem, I don't want to have to deal with the wheel all over again. So, brake pads look okay. I think they are okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think the brake disc is fine as well. So I think the front right is fine. Could it be the wheel hub bearing? Would that count as brakes? That's kind of what I was considering. Would it count as brakes? Could that be possibly the issue we're looking for? Okay, not currently. Still part not discovered. I don't think it is definitely... It's not there anyway. I don't think this is an issue. So we'll put it back. We'll put the cap over. Wheel back on. We know the front right, there is nothing wrong with it. That is done. Make sure we get the right wheel. So we do need to put the wheel back on the front left, but we'll just double check the wheel hub bearing in here, just in case that is the problem. It's low, but it's not massively low. I think that's fine. So cap back on, wheel back on. So in theory, if we've done this correctly, the last brake issue should be the rear right. Or I've messed up. We're going to find out which way in a second. Let's take this off and see what it is. I think I can see it. I think it's brake pads. It is brake pads. All the extra work of checking a few extra parts I didn't need to do. It is the rear right brake pads. Look at that. I could have bought a second set when I was in the shop earlier, couldn't I? There we go. Nicely done. Nothing on the shopping list. The wheel can go back on. We're going to quickly nip off and lathe the brake disc as well, because that needs to go back on the rear left. So we'll quickly nip off and do that, and then we're back. And there we go. The brake disc has been done. It's been redone, refixed, refurbished. I don't know what you want to call it, to be fair. One of them. And there we go. Brake cylinder back on, and the wheel. And that is all the brake problems solved. So now it's bodywork. And once again, we're not going to show the bodywork. The length of the video has got a little bit out of hand anyway because of the middle car being so dramatic in what needed doing. So we're going to skip through a lot of it. And we're back. We've nearly finished the bodywork. Okay, so last little bit going on now. There we go. And we'll talk numbers. I won't miss headlights this time. So we spent £2,273 doing the car up, fixing the parts that were an issue. They're going to pay us £8,194, which is a profit of £5,921, the least amount of profit so far. But that is the Pagani DLC cars looked at and worked on for the first time. Now, like I said earlier in the video, we are hoping to find these out in the wild, and hopefully we'll get to rebuild one. It'd be incredible to have one of these around the track and see where it sits on our leaderboard. But for today, that is it. Thank you all for watching. The next episode, we'll be looking at the 1993 Sakura Super for a factory rebuild. That is coming next on the channel. We'll see you again very soon. Just as we open this case, we'll finish off looking on what we gain. But we'll see you again very soon.